My name's Sarah Hollingdrake. I'm a quality and technical manager for an asbestos consultancy called Inspectors Compliance. For those of you that don't know what asbestos is, it's a naturally occurring mineral. We find it in rock, and we do mine for it still in certain countries such as Russia, Kazakhstan, China, etc. There are 6 types of asbestos, and we generally tend to get 3 main types over here in the UK. It's used in over 3,000 building materials, and it's put in there for its acoustic properties, its fire resistant properties. Also, it's very, very chemically inert, and it was hailed as a bit of a wonder material in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So the problem that we have with asbestos is that it causes cancer. It also causes asbestosis, and this is because the fibres that come off it when it's damaged, they break into very, very small fibres, they get lodged in your lung tissue, and it causes asbestosis, which is a scarring of your lungs, and prevents your lungs from expanding properly and leads to things like pneumonia. Mesothelioma is another asbestos-related disease. This is the tumours that you find in your flora, in your lung tissue. There are approximately 5,000 people dying from asbestos-related disease in the UK. I don't really have what is known as a standard day. It can be anything from just being in the office, maintaining a quality system, which is actually my job. We're regulated by UCAS. They come in, and we're UCAS accredited. So they come in and they scrutinise everything to ISO standards 17025 and 17020. So everything has to be absolutely spot on. But then other days I can be out surveying, whether that be domestic properties, commercials, hospitals, schools. We do a lot of school work. Or I could be doing air monitoring, which I'll talk to you about in a second. In terms of surveying, like I said, anything from domestic properties, local council, local authority properties, up to massive hospitals. We have lots of school projects. I've personally worked on a Cat C prison, which was very interesting. Not somewhere that you'd normally go. Got to see behind the scenes a bit of the workings of a prison. I've also worked on oil rigs, so you get flown out via helicopter, which is probably the most exciting part, because on the rigs everything works really, really slowly. Obviously with the Piper Alpha disaster, everything has to go through the IOM, everything's got to be signed off, so it's a lot of waiting around. In terms of air monitoring, we do several types. So if a company is going to do some work that might potentially damage some asbestos containing material, we'll run what we call reassurance air monitoring around the perimeter, just to make sure that if it is in a public place, members of the public are not going to breathe in elevated asbestos levels. So what I probably enjoy most about the job is the variation. No week's the same, no day's the same. It can be a case of 1 minute I could be up in Cumbria. We have a lot of schools in Cumbria that we manage. I could be over in Newcastle. We have university projects in the University of Newcastle and Durham. So we're managing their asbestos, helping their asbestos teams be compliant and safe. I've also worked over in China. I've done some surveying in pharmaceutical plants in China, because they're owned by European companies, so they have to be compliant with European law. So I've been over there to survey them. China are one of the biggest manufacturers of asbestos materials at the moment, so obviously it was quite interesting to see that newer builds that we wouldn't find asbestos in over here are still containing asbestos over there. So I like the variability. I like the fact you meet new people every day, and obviously I quite like travelling around. I like driving about, so it's a variable job. So in terms of chemistry, I do what's called asbestos awareness training. this is delivered to companies just to make sure that their operatives know what they're looking for in terms of asbestos containing materials, so they don't go through and drill through anything that they suspect is asbestos. We also like to hammer the point home that they need to read all the information that they're given on site, and if they're not sure, that they need to stop work. So in terms of the chemistry, I talk quite a lot about the crystal structure of asbestos. There are two types, the serpentine and the xanthoball, and they both have different crystalline structures, which makes their makeup slightly different and how they interact. Makes the amphibols slightly more brittle, more easily formed into fibrils, and they get more easily stuck in your lungs. And without my chemistry background, I probably wouldn't have understood that really, and I'm able to sort of convey that to other people. Chemistry theory that I've used recently, I have actually set 3 UCAS accredited labs up. So when the surveyors go out and they take small samples of asbestos containing materials or non-asbestos containing materials, they send those samples into the bulk lab and we analyse them again under like a negative pressure in a fume cabinet, a HEPA filtered fume cabinet, and we ascertain what type of asbestos is in there. There are other tests if you wanted to know how much, but we just concentrate on whether or not there is asbestos in that material. Obviously this involves, with it being chemically inert, we can put dilute hydrochloric acid onto the material to break up the matrix to make sure that we can get as clean a fibre as we can to look down the microscope. We use acetone, we use Cargill liquids, which are refractive index liquids. These are carcinogenic. So in terms of chemistry theory, COSH has been massive in my job, ensuring that people know the dangers of dealing with the chemicals. So I did forensic analytical science at the University of Huddersfield, graduated in 2008 with an integrated master's. And it was during my year in industry, working for the Environment Agency, that I got my P401, which is my bulk analyst certificate. When I left university, I wanted to go into the forensics field, however, it had been privatised, and because I had that qualification, I was able to quite easily get a job in the asbestos industry, and this has formed the basis of my career. I use stereo microscopy, polarised light microscopy and phase contrast microscopy on a daily basis, and I think having a good firm base science degree has really come in useful in being able to sort of wrap my head around the different techniques needed and the different techniques used to in these microscopy techniques and analysis. For those of you that are undecided, I do think that studying chemistry, particularly at degree level, has given me that knowledge to be able to question things. I take the recent pandemic as an example. There's been a lot of information or misinformation on Facebook, social media, in the news in general, even friends and colleagues. And I think having that really good base of chemistry knowledge has been able for me to sort of say, hang on a minute, I'm not quite sure about that, let me go do my own research. Gives you those research skills to be able to go away and put your own take on things. Personally as well, it's been really good maths wise. I was okay at maths before, but having to do chemistry at degree level, there is a lot of maths, particularly in physical chemistry, and I've actually gained quite a love of maths. I quite enjoy doing the maths side of things, so I do think it's a very valuable skill to have.